Today, we gather for a satsang that invites us into the profound mystery of enlightenment. What is this light we often speak of? What is the inner glow that unfolds as we journey towards self-enlightenment? And how do meditation and devotion shape this sacred path? Throughout history, we've learned that light isn't just an outer phenomenon. It's an inner awakening that emerges when knowledge and devotion find their balance. Knowledge without devotion can feel dry, while devotion without understanding risks becoming blind belief. But when these two forces unite, a door opens within us. The masters teach us that when the mind quiets and the heart softens, a subtle current begins to rise. This inner current, this living energy, flows through us like an unseen river. As our awareness deepens, it touches the consciousness within and the vast universe outside. Many great teachers have illuminated this truth, helping seekers bridge understanding and experience. When devotion blossoms, knowledge comes alive, drawing us gently toward the divine. In today's satsang, we explore how these forces work together. We'll discover how the inner current awakens and how the mystery of light reveals the path to self-enlightenment. May this reflection ignite a small flame in your heart, guiding you closer to the truth within.
Today's satsang is Mystery of Enlightenment, Amalgamation of Wisdom and Devotion. What is the mystery of light? What is the mystery of self-enlightenment? What effect do meditation and devotion have on this light, on this self-enlightenment? This is a topic that is partly spiritual and partly scientific. Light, in other words, is called self-enlightenment. Self-enlightenment comes only when the deep union of knowledge and devotion happens. If you have only knowledge, if you have read all the spiritual books, then yes, you gain knowledge. But this will not become self-enlightenment. You will know many things, but you will not be able to enter into them. In the same way, those who have devotion and faith, that devotion brings trust within them. But it can also bring blind belief. Only through love and devotion, self-enlightenment becomes rare. But if the divine wishes, anything can happen. This is a very deep mystery. You must have seen in society that those who remain only in love and devotion often become blind believers, because they do not have knowledge. Any knowledgeable person can mislead them very easily. This is why many young people today cannot follow the path of knowledge, because their questions are not answered by simply asking them to believe. But if they receive answers to their questions related to self-enlightenment, they can progress deeply towards enlightenment. The greatest contribution of Mahatma Buddha was that he explained self-enlightenment through a scientific method. Educated people generally follow either the path shown by Buddha or the path shown by Mahavir, because the mystery of self-enlightenment has been explained with a scientific outlook. The mystery of light has been explained. Whereas through faith and belief, only rituals were given importance. Rituals are not wrong, but those who spend their whole life only performing rituals get lost in blind belief, and they are not able to receive the light of the divine. Such people get confused, and anyone can confuse them easily. But the one who walks on the path of knowledge, the one who has studied the Gita, the Upanishads, the Puranas, and the Brahma Sutras, understands that the knowledge of the divine is a reality. But until he applies it in his life, it remains only mental knowledge. Now an educated person becomes aware very easily that he is not the mind. He becomes aware that he is not the body, he is not the emotions. Even if he makes all these zero, he still feels that there is an experience inside him. He can give this any name. But when everything is made zero, only consciousness remains. When he becomes aware that even if everything becomes zero, something still remains inside him, which in spiritual language is called the witness or the soul, he knows through his own experience that something is there within him which is separate from the senses. When he understands this and goes deeper into it, his knowledge begins to grow slowly. And when the right time comes, if he continues on this path with firmness and with the grace of the divine, he attains self-enlightenment. But the first difficulty he faces is that mentally he knows many things if he has studied. He studied because he had curiosity. He wanted to know. But this study remains very dry. Until a seed of love grows in his heart, he cannot walk on the path of the divine. He has climbed the first step. He has studied. He knows that there is something in this depth. But the moment he tries to enter that depth, when he goes within and sits in silence, a wave of love appears inside him. Even if he does nothing, if he sits quietly for a few moments every day, that wave begins to grow slowly. His heart becomes sensitive. When spiritual knowledge comes to a person, devotion becomes easy. But for a devotee, knowledge comes only with difficulty. When this person's heart becomes sensitive, he learns to sit alone. He sits in silence. He does nothing. Then he becomes aware that he is quiet from within. Outside also there may be silence. Yet there is a very subtle sound that exists in the universe every moment, and he begins to sense it. When he looks at a flower, he feels wonder, where does the fragrance come from in this flower? When he looks at a seed, he realizes that unless the seed goes into the soil, the sprout does not emerge. If the seed remains lying on the surface, it never sprouts. When he sees such mysteries everywhere, a feeling of devotion towards the divine begins to arise. The knowledge is already within him. All these conditions slowly begin to guide him towards love. In time he begins to feel that he is breathing. His life moves through these breaths. Through study he becomes aware that this breath, when it enters the body, becomes prana shakti. From this come Vyan prana, Saman prana, Apana prana and Udana prana. He has already sensed that there is some power within him which we call consciousness. He may not know what consciousness is, but he becomes aware that consciousness is an inner power. When he studies prana shakti, it becomes clear to him that prana is present in every cell. Our life moves because of prana. And when he realizes that when we rub both palms together, a current is produced, he can even observe this himself. Because he has scientific understanding, he understands it more deeply. When prana shakti enters every cell and reaches every nadi of the body, the flow of prana is present in every nadi. And consciousness is already within. When he understands the flow of prana shakti and the presence of consciousness within the body, he sees that prana shakti flows and consciousness acts like a magnet. Prana shakti moves in the body and circulates. Only then is your food digested. Only then do impurities leave your stomach. In scientific language, it becomes simple to understand that when any flow moves in a magnetic field, an electric current is produced. Science has clearly proven that electric currents are present everywhere in the body. Such a person understands scientifically that electricity in the physical world is produced from water or steam or gas. Water or steam or gas runs a rotor-like machine, and this machine remains in a magnetic field. When anything moves inside a magnetic field, a current is produced. Electricity is created. Through this he understands well that just as electricity is produced in the physical world, in the same way, inside our body, the flow of prana shakti happens in a magnetic environment. The magnetic environment is the environment of consciousness, which is within us. He then understands that just as electricity is generated in the physical world, in the same way a current is generated inside our body. And the effect of this current is on our spinal cord. When he walks on the spiritual path, when he chants mantra or practices breath awareness or kriya yoga, he slowly begins to experience that the flow of current is increasing. More electricity is being generated. This increase in electricity makes it clear that the electric current is spreading through the spinal cord. What we call Kundalini power or Kundalini Shakti is this very electric current. Slowly, when he begins to walk on this path, he starts practicing the method of meditation. The method of meditation as Patanjali described is yam, niyama, asana, pranayam, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi or a state of ecstasy. When he meditates within, the flow of electric energy increases and he becomes aware of it. And in the universe, there is a subtle unbroken sound, the anhad naad. If you sit quietly in the darkness of night, you can hear this anhad naad. This anhad naad is a sound, and this sound is also produced through electrical vibration. Just like when you speak into a microphone, your voice expands. When he becomes aware that within him there is an electric power moving up and down the spinal cord, and outside there is anhad naad, he sees that both are forms of electrical force. As the flow of this inner electrical power increases, it rises through the Sahasrar chakra and merges with the anhad naad in the universe. Since he is calm, he becomes aware of this. He feels that the flow inside him has moved outward. Now he looks at the universe in the form of a witness. By watching slowly, he reaches the state of samadhi or a state of ecstasy. And this same electrical flow, when it meets the tiny particles of the universe, produces a subtle light because those particles are extremely fine. They are metallic particles. They may be of silver, magnesium, or gold. You cannot see them with your eyes, but everything exists in the universe. When this electrical force meets these particles, a subtle light is produced. This is the same subtle light you can see around the heads of great saints. Around Krishna also this light is shown because their inner power is merged with the power of the universe. This light shows that they hold the proof of self-enlightenment. Self-enlightenment has fully matured within them. And this is the light of enlightenment. This is its science. Understand this science as knowledge, and when you bring it into your life, you will experience yourself that when this knowledge comes, everything becomes subtly visible in your consciousness. You begin to see your own future, your past, your present. Not only yours, but that of others too. As this develops further, when this state becomes very strong, you live in emptiness. There is no need to speak. Like Mahavir, who did not speak. His advanced disciples, when they stood near him, understood through telepathy what Mahavir was thinking and wanting to say. Then they would express those teachings in their own words to the listeners. The knowledge that Lord Krishna gave to Arjuna in the Gita was not given through spoken words. It was a direct communication between Arjuna and Krishna. You may understand it like this. In a dream of half an hour you can sometimes see your entire life of 70, 80 or 90 years. In the dream it appears before you instantly. In the same way Arjuna understood this knowledge in a short time and then entered the battlefield. Krishna showed him his cosmic form and explained to him clearly, "Those whom you are going to kill are already dead. You are only an instrument who is doing this work." Science has also worked a great deal in this direction. You may have heard the name Stephen Hawking. He was a British scientist who passed away around 10 years ago. He had a deep understanding of the universe. But his condition was such that at first he could speak, then he lost even his speech. He could no longer walk. He could not write. And yet science progressed so much that the subtle waves produced in his nerves while he thought were captured and converted into language. Through that, scientists could hear what he was thinking, and it was also displayed in written form. His eyes still saw, but he could not speak or hear. In the same way that Mahavir used spiritual power, and Krishna gave Arjuna knowledge through spiritual power, science is progressing in the same direction. This is silence. This is the science of emptiness. And this is telepathy. Whatever I have explained can be understood very clearly in the story form of Ravidas. Ravidas was born in the home of a cobbler. From birth he was exceptionally gifted, although his parents were not gifted at all. This child had such brilliance. He was born in Punjab, the land of rivers. As a small boy he would go and sit near the river bank. He would watch the river and gaze at the sky for hours. It felt as if his consciousness was traveling through the universe. But no one knew what he was doing. He would go, sit, then return and play with his friends. Whenever he felt like it, he would sit again. Once, after sitting by the river, he returned to play and met his friends. They told him one friend had not come. Ravidas was only about 7 or 8 years old. He said, "Let us go to his house and see what happened." When they reached the house, they found the family in grief. It was found out that the friend had died. When Ravidas heard this, he wondered how he could have died. He went to the friend inside the house and called him by name, "Raju, Raju." After calling 2 or 3 times, the friend stood up alive. This was a shock for the family and the whole village. But Ravidas did not feel anything unnatural about it. If you understand the scientific reason behind it, his consciousness had developed so much that he invited the friend's consciousness back through his own. And by the grace of the divine, the friend returned and began to play again. No one realized his gift. Later, when he was around 10 to 12 years old, his parents arranged his marriage. His father taught him the work of leather. He began doing all this work. But whenever someone came to the shop, especially monks or saints, he repaired their shoes without taking anything from them. If needed, he even gave sandals. His father could not tolerate this and told him to separate and work on his own. So Ravidas made a small shop. He continued leather work, singing with love for the divine. His wife worked with him. His singing became so well known that many people began to gather there. Slowly, by the time he was around 15, he had become quite famous. The priests or pundits of the area became very disturbed by this. All the people would go to him. So the scholars or pundits went to the king of that region and said that he was giving everyone wrong knowledge. The scholars or pundits chanted long and powerful mantras in front of him and then asked him if he understood anything. He was so simple and natural. He said, "The ones whose mantras you are chanting, they live with me. I am with them 24 hours a day." The scholars or pundits did not believe this, so they said, "Let us go to the river." We will place the stone image of Lord Vishnu, the Shaligram, in the water. Each scholar will put his own Shaligram image into the river, and whichever image does not sink will belong to the one who is truly enlightened. They all dropped their Shaligram images in the water and all of them sunk. He did not even have an image. He only had a stone used for beating leather. It must have been about half a kilo. He brought that stone and looked at it through the power of his consciousness. He himself did not know what he was doing. Then he placed it in the water. That stone began to float. At that moment the scholars, the pundits, the king, and the people understood that he was indeed the form of the divine. He lived in the presence of the divine. There is another beautiful story. A woman came and said that she had gone to the Ganga and her bangle had been washed away in the river. He always said, if the heart is pure, then even a small vessel holds the Ganga. The one whose heart is clean will find the Ganga flowing even in a small bowl. He looked at the woman and said, I will bring your bangle out right now. He put his hand into his small bowl, and brought out the bangle and gave it to her. This was the great awakening of consciousness within him, which was the result of his past birth. That is why, from childhood, he kept looking at the sky and became one with the Supreme Consciousness. There is a great legend from that same time. There was a queen named Meera. She was the queen of Chittor. When she heard about Ravidas, she wished to become his disciple. She walked and sang her way from Chittor until she reached him. It was as if her consciousness merged with his. He was a cobbler, and she was an empress, yet she became his disciple. She even built a temple for Ravidas inside her palace. When he passed away at the age of 128, his statue was also installed there. Ravidas spoke such beautiful verses that in the Guru Granth Sahib, the great scripture of the Sikhs, 40 of his verses were written by Guru Arjan Dev Ji, and even today at least 30 pages in the Guru Granth Sahib are filled with his verses and they are recited regularly. Once, some saints were going to take a holy bath in the Ganga. Ravidas asked them where they were going. He repaired their footwear and said, after your bath, offer 1 coin to Mother Ganga on my behalf. Fold your hands and offer it with devotion. If Mother Ganga extends her hand, then place it in her hand. The pilgrims performed their worship and then offered Ravidas' coin with folded hands. The Ganga extended her hand, and they placed the coin in it. Immediately after that, Mother Ganga offered them a magnificent bangle, which they brought back and gave to Ravidas. Ravidas always said, when the heart is pure, even a small vessel holds the Ganga. This is not a mythological tale. It is a true story. It is a real event from 500 or 600 years ago. Ravidas was a great saint, and this was the radiance of his life. Through love, trust, and devotion he reached the divine. He did not reach through the path of intellectual knowledge. The first method I explained to you is the method of knowledge. Educated people today try to reach understanding through that method. But this path is the path of devotion. It is the fruit of past births, and it may also be the effect of how he spent his childhood gazing at the Supreme Presence. Everything is held in the discipline of the divine. Through love and devotion, the divine brings one close. Through past births also, the divine brings one close. And if not, then just as Mahavir and Buddha practiced intense austerities for 6 and 12 years, the divine can bring one close through that path as well. This is the greatness of the divine. Nothing ever goes in vain. Ravidas had deep devotion from past births. That is why he lived for 128 years and from childhood guided all of society towards the divine. Even today, millions read his words and remember him. You can reach the divine through the path of knowledge. You can reach through devotion and faith as well. But the grace of the divine is essential. Only with that grace can one walk on the path of the divine. It is the divine who makes it happen. Whether the divine calls you through knowledge or through devotion and faith, his ways have no end. His forms are infinite. In whatever form he appears before you, he can make miracles happen through you or dissolve you into himself. And from our side, whatever effort is possible, let us walk on the path through knowledge and devotion so that we may understand the mystery of light and attain enlightenment. This is the simple and accessible way. We pray to the divine that on this auspicious day, may a lamp of light be lit in our hearts, so that we may reach him. Thank you.